Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right, and to avoid any lazy negativity, we're making this a drinking game. Any negative criticism about a film is absolutely allowed, but you will be called out for it, and you will have to take a drink every time. And that does not just go for us here recording the pod. That goes for you at home. We know you don't have anywhere to go or anywhere to be. We know your liquor cabinet is better stocked than your toilet paper cabinet. So go ahead, every time you hear this buzzer, go ahead and take a drink with us. Let's have some fun.
All right, so pour yourself a glass or 7. Join us, give it up for the films we love, and perhaps some that need some love. Jeff, what are we doing? We're 7 episodes in. What's going on?
That's right. We are in our 4th episode of our Corona franchise face-off. We decided when the coronavirus started to take off, and we all, by the way, we used to record these podcasts in person. We have all split. John is in North Carolina right now. I am actually in Syracuse, New York, and Dave is still in Manhattan, slumming it.
Yes, I am.
In the epicenter of the
hanging
pandemic.
in there.
Also, by the way, a little audio note. My audio is not as pristine as usual because when I fled the city, my fancy microphone did not come with me. So I am not recording on the proper hardware. I do apologize. First drink of the pod. All right. So anyway, so we decided to rank our 16... I guess favorite, but 16 trilogies or franchises that we wanted to take a look at. I know that a lot of people that I've been talking to, because we have a lot of time, nobody's commuting anywhere, to spend some time watching full series as opposed to just single movies. And obviously no new movies are coming out. So we ranked 16 trilogies or series, 1 through 16. As of right now, our 3 top seeds have advanced. That would be the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Our top seed did pass over the Cornetto trilogy. Then the Godfather trilogy passed on. Wow, they passed on. R.I.P. No, the Godfather, our 2nd seed, beat the Austin Powers series. And
Didn't
last week, in a very, very contentious episode where we made an absolute fool of ourselves, available on Spotify and iTunes. We talked about Star Wars and the Fast and the Furious. Somehow, even though we only said negative things about Star Wars and only positive things about the Fast and the Furious, our 3 seed Star Wars advanced. So today, we have our 4 seed and our 13 seed. But before we introduce those, let's kick it back to John for some shout-outs.
All right, as usual, we have our beer sponsor. Once again, he's not with us, but he is with us in spirit. He has been sending us some amazing videos of all the brews he made for us. He has a really good stout IPA that I'm very upset that I can't be drinking right now. His name is Carlos Barroso. Give him a follow at C Barroso Bar.
Don't follow him.
Yeah, I'm drinking. I'm sorry. That is CBARROZOBAR 2019. Give him a follow. And as always, the music is provided by the artist Dasein. All the music on this episode. Find him at soundcloud.com/Dasein. That's DASEIN-artist. Okay. Let's fucking jump into it, dude. Woo! Did you guys prepare for this week? Were you feeling...
This is the contest that dare not speak its name.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, so our 4 seed, which I'm actually kind of proud of us for putting this as high as we did. Not that it doesn't deserve it. It has the highest combined ranking on Rotten Tomatoes by fucking far. Like I can't even. Did you guys look at the Rotten Tomatoes for our 4 seed?
I'm looking at it now,
Nope.
dude. It's crazy.
All right, so our 4 seed is the Toy Story. What do you call 4 movies? The Toy Story saga. And oh my gosh, the first 2 movies, 1995, Toy Story 1, 1999, Toy Story 2. The first 2 movies, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Toy Story 3, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. And Toy Story 4, it's really hard to hang. It's really hard to hang after that setup. So it's slumming at a 97. That is right. They are averaging a 99, the 4 fucking Toy Story movies.
Dude. Oh my God.
So we're going to start talking about our top seed, as always, which is Toy Story. And then in a little bit, we'll talk about John Wick, which, by the way, was awesome and exciting. And I don't even want to say too much other than I'm not going to get buzzed a lot. We might have to open up the parameters for getting buzzed because these two series have brought me so much joy. On this Easter week, waking up Easter morning and rewatching John Wick 3 was really fucking fun. Who wants to get us started with Toy Story? John, Dave?
I'll throw this out there. I was thinking about this all week. I think it's really cool that, it makes sense. There's so much money behind these kinds of franchises. So I guess I wasn't shocked when I realized this, but every week so far, we have been talking at least one of the franchises in our conversation for each of these weeks did something very unique technically. They somehow, in their own way, either started their own, literally, special effects studios and movement like ILM with Star Wars or Weta with Lord of the Rings. Toy Story is no different. I remember being a young person and hearing, how every now and then you would hear, just, it was before the internet really was popular, so every now and then you would hear word of mouth about this company called Pixar that was starting. And I remember when they first released that short with the lamp. I can't remember what movie it was in front of, but it was in front of some Disney movie. And I remember having seen that animation for the first time. I remember learning that it took them 12 years to develop technology and make Toy Story. It was, I think it's a 12-year window. And
it was originally bought by Apple, actually.
Yeah, Steve Jobs.
And Steve Jobs basically, funnily enough, today, Ed Catmull and Pat Hanrahan, who were two of the guys who developed the very first Pixar software and the RenderMan render engine, which is now used in feature films the world over, won the Turing Award.
Holy shit.
For a contribution to...
And those guys worked at ILM, didn't they?
I'm not sure if they worked at ILM, but they developed the engine that Pixar now uses to render all its stuff. Dude.
Yeah, I remember George Lucas saying when he decided to sell it that he basically said, I just don't have as much use for this kind of animation. It wasn't the CGI that he was interested in creating for his live action stuff.
Yeah.
And Steve Jobs swept in. I don't know about you, but I'm basically just reminiscing on that great documentary that came out last year about the history of Pixar, and just kind of walks you through the birth and everything. What's his name? Who's the guy who directed the first Toy Story? It was like
John Lasseter.
Yeah, I mean, him making the Brave Little Toaster, coming up as one of the last generations of animators at Disney Studios. So he definitely has his roots where you think they should be. It's not like these people came out of a vacuum. They came out of the institutions that gave us all of the great animation beforehand. They definitely came from ILM as well. So there's a lot of... It's a perfect melding of artistry, animation, and new technology. And they were right on the precipice, and they pushed it forward. And it's just so exciting that Toy Story was their first feature length, and it still holds up. I know for sure it's some people's favorite Pixar movie still. And they've made nothing but great movies.
Think about this. So here are the writing credits. And it's always funny with animated movies because there's always 25 writers on these movies. And you know what I mean? Listen to who they have. This is 1995 for Toy Story 1, which was years in development, right? This is the first CGI movie. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Anyway. Mm-hmm. Or the first CGI animated film, right? Fully CGI.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon. Yeah. Right? 1995. Joel Cohen.
Joel Cohen. What is he doing?
Joel Cohen.
Oh my God.
And so they have these future legends, of course. And then you have somebody like Pete Docter who wrote Inside Out, and he's been in the Pixar family and has been a part of a lot of those big movies going on. Same thing with Andrew Stanton and Joe Ranft. These guys, Pixar is very incestuous. When you're in the family, you're in the family. So a lot of these guys, including Randy Newman, but especially Joe Ranft, they did the Cars series, which, by the way, gross. That's a multi-billion-dollar series. Toy Story is a multi-billion-dollar series. They did A Bug's Life. So they've done a lot of the digital shorts. So we're talking about masters of their craft and Pixar really nurturing talent. And also Joel Cohen. Well, what Mississippi Bird? Like, what are the movies that the Coen brothers had done by 1995? And they're like, oh, we got a kid's story about toys. Let's get that guy. Like, they just recognize talent. Even the voice actors, like Ernest is in this movie. Tim Allen, who has political stuff going on. Like, Disney has this pristine reputation, right? And I know this is Pixar, but eventually they joined, and obviously that was inevitable. But this is like, they feared no evil. Like, they are anybody who's talented, they're willing to like spend some time on and nurture. And these stories are so simple, All of them are so simple. They get everybody involved in a clean, cohesive way. Great callbacks. They expand slightly. They don't try to outdo themselves like something like, I don't know, Stranger Things. Oh no, Buzz. There goes.
Yeah, I hate you for that one.
Anyway, I'm just
that one in.
I'm sorry, I'm ranting. Why don't we kick it over to Dave? Dave, what do you think?
I mean, I'm not going to get buzzed much for this either because, and I must admit, I hadn't seen Toy Story 4 yet, and so I fired up on Disney Plus this week and I waited for it. And, you can look at these and it's literally a history of animation in 4 movies. You can see the technology develop from one to the other.
Yeah.
And they just get better and better, and that's not even counting the stories.
Yeah, which are wonderful.
Yeah, the quality is phenomenal. Damn you, Randy Newman.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that. It's in my head and it's never getting out. I really dug, and I almost didn't need to look it up, but in part 4, Ducky and Bunny, when they added those two, and it's Key and Peele, and
of course
they are just ridiculously funny.
I mean, that fucking
in this movie,
dude, Forky, that was so funny, dude. He is terrifying.
Yeah. And he loves trash. That is so fucking funny.
No, it's that guy who plays Buster, right? What's his name? He's on Veep and he plays Buster in Arrested Development. What is that actor's name?
I got nothing.
Jeff, you know what I'm talking about, right? Tony Hale.
It's Tony Hale, from Veep. And Arrested Development.
Again, in part 4, where he, at one point Woody gets put in the closet and there's 4 old toys there. And they're 4 absolutely famous comedy actors. Betty White's in that scene.
Yeah.
One of those is Betty White.
How do they get away? So how do you? All right. So let's get down and dirty with it. These movies work. Every person who has ever seen these movies knows they work. But obviously, there is a lot of their cachet is in nostalgia, right? It's a lot of it is you're kind of waiting to see all those new. What new old toy are they going to feature in this version? And yet it doesn't sit on nostalgia. The stories that they're telling are stories that could be told in a lot of different vehicles. But
I mean, some of that though is not nostalgia. It's like a running gag or a reference, and everybody has cameos. These guys just have the luxury of having items as well as people. Yeah, because they can there's a section down the bottom that I was going to get to later, but I'll skip ahead to it. Easter eggs fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
You can watch these films 60 times and still see something new hidden in the background. Mm-hmm. They put so many stuff in there. The bookcase in Andy's room in the first film, there's a shelf of books that are all screenplays by John Lasseter. Every single book behind him is a screenplay, right up to the original, I think the original name for Toy Story. The carpet from The Shining is recreated in Sid's house.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, part 2, they almost hold the record for the most Easter eggs displayed in a few seconds.
Wow. I forgot to write a lot of the, honestly, I was just enjoying these so much that I forgot to write them all down. In Toy Story 1, when Buzz fake flies the first time and he goes up in the air, so it looks like the space is behind him because you're looking at it from below. They played the 2001 A Space Odyssey theme.
Yeah.
Is that one or is that in 4? Honestly, I watched them all this week, so they're all running together, but that was definitely an Easter egg that was in there.
I mean, part 2 has Star Wars references.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bowl, the Luxo Bowl, which was in the movie Luxo Jr., and that has turned up in every single Pixar film ever made. Somewhere in that movie. If you want to have some fun, go through the films, look for the Luxo Bowl. It's in there somewhere.
Oh man,
that is
part 3. The bin man, the guy in the bin, who's emptying the bin, is wearing Sid's t-shirt from part 1. It's Sid grown up. Sid is the bin man.
You're shitting me.
There's all these things to look for.
Yeah, they build a universe.
So ridiculous.
Sure. Do we know? Do their movies cross over?
It's not.
Do they?
Well, funnily enough, Buzz's in part 3. Buzz's back is exposed, and you see his batteries. They're made by and large. It has a B&N logo. It's the same company who made WALL-E.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So they all cross over. The gas station is the same as the one in Cars.
Right. WALL-E is a ton of these too. A lot of trash is old movie.
And also in the antique store in part 4, they're everywhere. You could spend a day looking for these things. There's the mask from Finding Dory. There's the cookie box from A Bug's Life. The walker from Up.
Oh my god!
Yeah, there's one of the gum brands they use an Inside Out. There's an ad for a moving company from the original Toy Story. At one point, when they hang Buzz up and Bunny and Ducky are there, just to the left is the guitar from Coco. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You can spend forever looking for these things. And that's part of the fun thing for adults too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I remember that.
But I want to talk about that. There's two things that really caught me in rewatching this all in a week, which I would recommend for people. They do all run together, but it's also good that it's totally worth it. Even the score, Randy Newman's score is so good. There's a lot of like Wild West themes. There's definitely there's definitely a play at the harmonica guy from, is that Once Upon a Time in the West? There's definitely a play at that somewhere. Yeah. There's two things. First of all, the concept. It's like every single time I start one of these movies, Chloe would kill me if I didn't talk about this because it's all I was talking about this week. Every single time I start, I'm like, they're just fucking toys. Like, Andy, don't bring your doll to college. Like, every single time, like, that is rooted in my brain. If I saw a toy of mine writing a message, like, think about it, if a human walked in at any point of this, they're going to the loony bin for the rest of time. They're climbing, they're jumping out of windows, they're flying, they're setting off rockets, they are recording, like, voiceovers for themselves to play later. And I can't help that Woody wrote Andy a note in Toy Story 3. If I got a note that said, "Hey Jeff," and it turned out that it was that is literally the premise for Chucky, and it has tormented people for the last 30 years. It's the idea of their toys and animals coming to that fine line.
I think that's one of the things that make Ducky and Bunny thing, the interlude in part 4 so funny. Because you're like, whoa, they just totally broke the wall.
That ending, that little epilogue section is so funny.
Because it's almost like they realize exactly what you've been saying, and they're like, all right, let's make some of that.
They sort of say 4 for me because again, I was like, why we keep saying at least, you know what? Actually, 4 got off to the good start in that the toys were for the kids. Because 2 and 3, it gets into that point where it's like, do the humans matter at all? Because me as Jeff, I kind of like the idea of the humans. And again, brilliant masters of craft. Like, obviously, it was perfect. Oh my god, my
Jeff hates toys.
Thank you, Chloe.
No.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
Seamless just turned up.
I love you. My Seamless, my delivery. This is Chloe. Say hi, Chloe.
Hi.
Give your favorite part of the
Chloe's
Toy Story
back.
movies that we watched.
Forky.
Oh, see,
Of course.
Thank
Porky.
you. Chloe love Porky. Anyway, so the concept of this is really, really hard to pull off. And then they do things like that Key and Peele character. I remember seeing 4 in theaters, and when they did their first fake scenario, and you didn't know it was not real. You didn't know that they were like, I got an idea of how we're going to get the key, which, by the way, is another, like, they brilliantly seam all these movies together where it's like, how many movies do they need to get a key? So they need it in this movie, and for some reason, it doesn't seem like a gag that's dried up. It's like, oh, yeah, they need it. And how do they one-up it? They have Key and Peele run through a list of scenarios of how they're going to get the key. They all involve beating the shit out of an old lady when Buzz Lightyear finally says that's definitely not going to happen. It's like, it's so pristine. So anyway, for me,
it's a beautiful scene.
The two things that I would love for you guys to talk about a little bit, because it's like the concept alone. The first movie, it pulls itself off. It's like toys are more than toys. They matter to us. They matter to humans. They kind of let that go a little bit. I know that's there the whole time, but they sort of trust that everybody watching, especially the nostalgia, like when you watch it with your kids and you think about your old toys, to what you were saying before with nostalgia, John. I would love to know what you guys think. Like, did that ever come up? Does it ever hold you back, the concept? And also, is there something that Disney movies don't do now anymore, which is this movie does, they play to adults, but they play it PG, if that makes sense. There are sexual references, like the Potato Heads are saying things like, oh, like, we'll worry about that tonight. So it's like they're playing to the full round of audience, whereas I think a lot of Disney movies nowadays, they're kind of skewing younger, and they're losing some more depth, some substance. What do you guys think about those two things?
I think my favorite children's movies, even when I was a kid, there are 2 ways to watch those movies. It's why I love the Muppets. It's why I love Pixar, because you can enjoy it on 2 different levels. As you get older, I remember that very specific feeling of growing up and finally understanding why mom and dad were laughing at that part, or why you didn't understand what was funny, and you kind of were pretending when you were a kid that you got it, but you just didn't understand that reality yet. I think the concept is awesome. And again, I think it has something to do with Disney specifically, because apparently John Lasseter was always very interested in bringing inanimate objects to life as opposed to writing stories about characters that were animals or humans, the way Disney almost exclusively does. So in most Disney movies, unless an inanimate object is under a spell, most of their stories are about people or animals. So I think they already kind of separate themselves by having this whole world of inanimate objects that get brought into, personified scenarios. So it's almost like the well has not been truly tapped yet. I mean, I think it's the reason they can just so successfully keep turning out new versions of that same concept. I mean, everything can be made into a Pixar character. And I don't know, I've always enjoyed it.
Although with the Toy Stories, they should probably stop while they're ahead now. They're like,
do you think they're going to stop?
5 might be pushing it.
The last 2 movies made $1 billion each. $1 billion each.
Dude. I mean, I was finishing it with my friend who's here with me as well, and we were like, she was like, "Do you think it's over for sure?" And I was like, "No way, that carnival could totally swing back through some town, and they could see their buddies.
Yeah, exactly,
like, there's no reason why this thing has to stop. If they don't want it to stop."
It was a massive goodbye scene, though. Like, they split up the main characters. I mean,
I thought it was over after 3.
How they bring it back?
I thought it was over after 3.
Yeah, fair.
And 4 was pretty damn
solid
good,
ending.
dude. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it, and of course, all the feminist stuff, the way they turned Bo Peep. I will say, I did not know that was coming in 4, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Bo Peep is one of my favorite. She's one of my favorite characters.
Well, see, when the others, in the earlier ones, I remember always thinking like, she doesn't get much screen time, and they kind of put her as the archetype of the little girl's toy in the early ones, and I'm not saying that's all she was, but she really didn't have a lot of development. So I thought it was really fucking cool that they let her go off and become a badass lost toy. She never wore her dress or skirt thing. It was fucking great. It was so funny.
There's actually, if you look on the shorts in Disney Plus, there's also a short called Lamp Life, and it shows what happened to Bo Peep.
Nice. I like how she gets out, dude. That's great.
Yeah, it's the whole story in short form. The Disney shorts are awesome. Half of them are animation tests for the movie that's coming. So they take the time to write something.
I like that about Pixar. Again, I know when you talk about Pixar, you kind of talk about Disney as well, but Disney kind of did them independently as well. But I liked that for the bulk of my childhood and young adulthood, when I was seeing these movies in theater, I like that they always paired it with one of their original shorts, kind of like old school. When you would go to the movies, you kind of got to see one of their shorts that you had never heard of it before, and then you got to watch the movie. And half the time we would walk away talking about the short just as much.
Except for that Frozen one.
Frozen 2? Wait, was that Toy Story 4? Was that Frozen?
No, the Frozen short that got put in front of...
Which one?
Oh, I can't remember what it was, but they threw a 15-minute Frozen short in front of a movie.
Oh, was that like the holiday one where they were like getting ready for like a holiday ball?
Yeah, one of the best reviews was this like 5-year-old kid sitting next to his parent who turned to them and went, "Daddy, nobody asked for this."
Yes, drink.
That 5-year-old kid now has to drink.
This one's for that fucking kid. God damn it, that is so fun. Nobody asked for this.
Okay, well, we might as well do this too. Let's do favorite movie out of the 4, and favorite character. I just want to read a couple. I'll say favorite character, and while you think about that, this is Toy Story 4. First of all, Key and Peele, I already said saved the movie. You also have Keanu Reeves. More on him later.
Man, that was funny.
Christina Hendricks. Listen to the names of some of these characters. Carl Reiner is in it, and they name him Carl Rhinoceros. Actually, they name him Carl Rhinoceros. Yep. Betty White is in it, and it's Bitey White. Carol Burnett is Kyrol Burnett, and then Mel Brooks is Melephant Brooks. They're all the ones
in the cupboard.
Yeah, and
that's
then,
all the old toys in the cupboard.
And then Timothy Dalton, aka former James Bond, is Mr. Pricklepants, who's the classically trained toy. The classically trained toy. I mean,
Timothy Dalton will turn up to the opening of an envelope these days. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with, like, Estelle Harris, Laurie Metcalf, Jeff Garland, Don Rickles, Carl Weathers, June Squibb, Wallace Shawn as Rex is one of the most interesting.
Come on,
that is one of the most
funny.
interesting choices. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is played by, like, the guy with the inconceivable quote and the guy in Clueless, like the 5'0" guy. Like, it's so funny that he's the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Joan Cusack
For
as
anyone who's
Jessie
into Star
is
Trek,
so
he was a
funny.
Ferengi for quite some time as well.
Oh, nice. Anyway,
Say that again.
He was a Ferengi in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He played the Grand
yeah,
Nagus.
yes, he was.
Yeah. You
sorry.
can tell as soon as he opens his mouth.
Oh, he's so good. Anyway, I'm dragging. What was your favorite out of the 4?
Favorite movie out of the 4? God damn, dude. Ugh. I know this is lame, but I'm probably gonna say number 1, just because
Sure.
it's airtight.
Yeah. It's
I
so
mean, it's
simple
absolutely. I mean, how long is that thing? I know they're all around an hour and a half, but what is this? This thing comes in at 1:21. With credits.
3 hours and 45 minutes.
we love that.
I mean, that thing is just. It's the story. As much as that conversation we literally just had, as rich and as quotable as all of those supporting characters are and everything, it never has a moment just for the sake of having a famous person say something funny.
Right.
It all comes out of those toys in that situation having to react to their most emotional. And I don't know, it's just absolutely airtight. I also do feel it's not a criticism at all. I love these movies. I think the mythology of Buzz Lightyear has decreased and depreciated over the course of the movies. And I really loved him and Woody's foiling of each other in the first one. And the second one is still, there a little bit. They're still like the good friends thing. But God, I just thought they just played so well off of each other. Yeah. And again, this might have something to do with when it came out, but like I was a huge Home Improvement fan. I was huge into Tim Allen. So I was very, very excited to recognize those two voices. I knew it was coming. When is that? 1995? Was when the first one came out, right?
95.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with 1. How about you, Dave?
I'm going to be controversial and go with 2. And the main reason I'm going with 2 is because it is just as good at 1 as 1, but they answered the question, where do we go from here?
Yeah, you're right.
2 is awesome.
And they answered it successfully and was as good, if not better, than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you had to be brave and say, controversially, I picked the one with a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
no, I agree with you. Though it probably is the one that people
there's
talk
actually
shit
a
in
discussion.
this
There's discussion going on Twitter at the moment as for like film series, which is the better one? Like, what order does it go in? 2, 3, 1, 1, 3, 2.
Yeah,
and that's getting quite fiery as well. If you want to look that one up.
Oh man.
Well, I would say just because this is we're supposed to bait each other into saying negative things. I don't have many negative things to say, but I would say my least favorite is 3, which is controversial for a lot of people. But then, yeah, great.
I'm going to agree with you, dude. I felt like everybody raved about number 3, and when I finally saw it, I remember thinking this was not. It was not better than 1 or 2. I just remember hearing everybody hyping it up like crazy about how sad it was when the dog walked in. It's like, really? Is that all it took? An old dog?
He's going to college, and that's a bummer. And I'm the fact that he even considered bringing Woody to college really was like they're really
that was a tough.
They're steepening that hill right now. Like,
we want Andy to get laid. It's like we've grown up too.
I do want Andy to get laid.
We want that guy to get laid.
I'm so sorry.
I will say for number 3, the Barbies are
I'm never
really
gonna
funny.
get that image out of my head.
The Ken doll and the Barbie, they're really quite hilarious.
Do you know? So Ken was Michael Keaton. Do you know who Barbie was?
No.
It was the voice of it was the voice of Ariel from Little Mermaid. It was Jodie Benson. It's literally Ariel from the Little Mermaid is like the sex symbol is Barbie. Yeah.
Wow, that's funny.
You're right. I did like that. Sorry, ladies. Anyway, my favorite was 4, just because I thought they went up and it was funny. I'd probably go 4, 1, 2, 3. That's probably what I would do.
Man,
I like the idea of the lost toys because that's that existential question that was brought up in 2, as Dave noted, and then 4 was simple, but like at 1 was simple, and 4 can't quite be as simple, but at the same time, at its core, it really is pretty simple, So I thought it was cool. I thought it was good.
No, you're
and
totally
Forky's
right. I mean, these questions. We're gonna get deep here with Toy Story. I like what you said earlier.
That's the only reason it works. It's the only reason it works is because of the depth.
Deep toys.
I like how you said early on about how 2 and 3 kind of started becoming a lot about the toys and not much about the humans and that relationship thing. But I did always feel that they were trying to not push, but they were trying to the toys themselves, the characters were very afraid of what they didn't know beyond Andy's room. So obviously 2 and 3 take them into different scenarios, But the ultimate unknown is what happens when there are no children. When they're literally, not just the kid you grew up with, but literally our point of existing is no longer there. Do we still exist? So again, I was so pleasantly surprised by 4. I thought that was such a good spin on it. And if it is the last one, it's a great way to say goodbye, but you kind of have been waiting for... Did you feel like it was contrived at all for Woody to go with Bo Peep? Do you feel like he did it because he loved her, or he did it because he also wanted to be... because he realized he no longer had a kid? Or was it both?
That's a really good question. And I think it's probably good that a movie is able to not have that 100% solid, because obviously the answer is both. So it's I guess whether or not it's more one than the other.
But he was okay with it for, I'm sure I mean, I guess I want to...
You know what it is? Wait, let's go back to our franchise here, our Corona franchise. You know what it is? It's Into the West. It's the end of the Lord of the Rings. He could stay. He's still got family.
Honestly,
he's still got friends.
That's all I was thinking of.
He could live in the attic forever if he wants. But what if you choose to go into the West and there is love on the other side, like going
the world?
Bilbo,
I mean,
for instance.
I got very verklempt at the end of 4 because you guys should just start buzzing me every time I say the term hero's journey. But we've been watching Woody throughout these movies do this, and it did feel like he realized the world around him had changed so drastically that he didn't really belong there anymore. So whether or not it was for Bo Peep or because he just wanted to be a change or whatever, I think he ultimately realized there was nothing there for him. Which it's so exciting for right now that movie exists, because obviously Corona, this is scary shit. We don't know what the fuck is happening right now in general, but we're living in the middle of a gigantic shift in the cultural paradigm. And I think it's really exciting that they're making a movie aimed at children where you're exactly right, dude. They land on a question of the unknown and a hero saying,
Into the unknown.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
All right. On those notes,
very heavy philosophical points about
we should probably move on to our second section, which also has Keanu Reeves in it.
Is he the only crossover? I really tried looking. I was really hoping Lawrence Fishburne or Halle Berry or something. Ian McShane. I thought Ian McShane could be like a gangster toy or something, but I guess not.
They'd never be able to stop Ian McShane saying "fuck." Like,
you're right. You're right.
Bleeping toys. Just have him.
He would say tits and dragons and toys.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, if you haven't guessed it already, we're going to be talking about the fucking John Wick franchise. We're very excited about it. Boom. And we're back! And we're back, baby. We're back. First thing is first.
Jeff made a boo-boo.
One of our co-hosts, our buddy Jeff, made a hilarious mistake, and I kind of wish it wasn't a mistake. I wish that Joel Cohen of the Coen brothers did co-write Toy Story, just because that would be hilarious. The comments he was making in the writer's room.
Would have been a different film.
It would have been a very, very different film. Unfortunately, it is not
Jeff
the same
read the headline
with Joel
and
Cohen.
didn't spell check. Yeah.
I thought maybe Joel Cohen just took the H out to make him sound less Jewish or something. I don't know.
No, he did not. He did not. Different Joel Cohen. This Joel Cohen wrote The Garfields. He wrote Cheaper by the Dozen, that fucking Steve Allen movie.
So he's thankful to you
Money
right
Talks.
now.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
I also tanked. I also said Joe Cohen was working on Mississippi Burning, which is not a movie he ever worked on.
I kind of let that go. I didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. What movie were you thinking of when you said Mississippi Burning?
Raising Arizona.
Raising Arizona. It has a state in the title.
It's some southern state that's not doing well.
Look, I feel for Cohen with an H. There was once I was credited on IMDb for working on the movie Creed as the principal colorist for about 24 hours, and
Dave immediately sent his resume out everywhere.
I'm not kidding. Like I immediately corrected that on IMDb because you just don't do that. But I took a photo of it first.
Every time I have to add your name for one of our film on the IMDb credits, that guy always comes up when I'm trying to find you.
Dave Green.
I want to get in touch with that fucker and be like, dude, do you want to join us? Like, I feel like the fates are bringing all the Daves together. Anyway, we're back,
anyway.
and we're very excited to be talking about John fucking
so
Wick. He did not want to get back in the game, but they
excited.
fucking pulled him back into the game. And you know what?
With a
I'm
fucking
thinking
pencil.
I'm back. Oh my
With a fucking
God.
pencil.
With a fucking pencil. It was beautiful. Oh my God. Let's just go right to town. Did you guys see these in the theaters as they came out, or were you latecomers?
And didn't see a single one in theaters.
I didn't
What an
see the
asshole
first
am I.
one in theaters, and then my girlfriend, who is now my wife, this may be one of the reasons I married her, put me on to John Wick, and we then immediately went and saw the second one, which was just coming out in theaters, and then we went and saw the third one.
Yeah. I mean, these are just, God, this is just such a welcomed return of the great and powerful Keanu Reeves. I mean, anyone who was alive in the late 90s saw The Matrix, and we were like, oh, that's the thing he does. Like, he's good at that thing. We also saw him in the 90s do some weird, like rom-com and romantic dramas and stuff.
Badly.
And, yeah. And that's where, we picked on him quite a bit. Nobody picks
Yeah.
on him for John Wick, dude. Everybody, these movies are cool, and I feel
fucking
like he gets
scared.
away with all of it.
Have you ever seen any of the videos of him training for this movie?
Yes.
For these movies?
Yes.
His training sequences, he's doing like somersaults and then he's shooting targets down the fucking bullseye. Like it's like as if he's been training to do this for
Have
his
you
whole
seen
life.
Halle Berry doing the training for John Wick 3?
Yeah, I saw it too.
Do not
Yeah.
get in a gunfight with Halle Berry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, badass. I mean, let's
Yeah.
talk about
Guys.
that first of all. Like for all of them in general, they have, just based on the research I was able to find. I wasn't on set, of course, but the stunt choreography, the fight choreography, they were very interested in trying to film longer takes, and they
Yes.
wanted Keanu to be doing a lot of the stuff with them. He was already very much into jiu-jitsu. The whole world of DMA and MMA and martial arts has been, really popping a lot in the 2000s. And jiu-jitsu is something that has made its way into mainstream pop culture in a whole different way than when I was a child, even though it was around since the 80s in MMA. And I knew Keanu Reeves had gotten into it like before these movies came out, but especially there are a few sequences in number 2 especially that are very long oneers. And that man is rolling around and jumping around and getting flipped around, and it is all in real time. He does have stunt doubles, but as much as possible, they are using him. And I just really appreciated how they shot fight choreography in a new way. That's kind of, whether you like action movies or not, they're only interesting when they introduce elements differently, whether it's in story or whether it's technical. And I think John Wick tells a very simple story. The man thought he was out of the game, and he got brought back into the game with a ridiculous scenario. But the way they shoot the fighting is so fresh and so new that it's almost, I don't know, it's impossible not to enjoy it. You've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you guys- am I alone?
the fighting choreography, they're having a bit of a renaissance with that at the moment. Like we're having a Keanu-sance, where Keanu's coming back and he's just in everything. But the fight choreography as well is having a little bit of a renaissance where they had the Avengers, they had all this stuff where people were constantly replaced by digital models, and then all of a sudden you've got this other camp who are like, no, we want to do this practically, and we want to do we want it to make it like hard. We want to hit hard, we want to hit safe, obviously, but they're going the other way, and that's where you're getting these long takes because they're not swapping people out. I mean, there was a really great fight scene in Daredevil, the TV series, not
Jesus.
that horrible film.
Both of them. In both the episode 6 of season 1,
the
hallway
stairwell fight.
Yeah.
where-
that one in the
that-
hallway.
Unbelievable.
and
Old Boy,
like that,
did you guys see that Japanese film? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable, dude. You're right. This is happening. This is changing. I think for me, I think it's such a wonderful juxtaposition for what the Bourne series, which sadly, listeners, Bourne didn't make it onto our franchise, but we love the Bourne
It's
series
too
as
bad.
well.
It probably should have.
And it's such a good. It would have been a fun foil to John Wick because the way that they shoot their action and their fighting, which I also find I love the way they shoot their fight scenes. It is all super quick cut, so they get a lot of coverage, and then they edit their asses off to put together really interesting fast cut fight sequences. And again, it was just refreshing to see movies like John Wick go completely in the other direction. longer takes, really getting to watch Keanu Reeves do all the fighting. I don't know, man. It's super fresh. And when you hear... Tell me.
I can't even tell you the joy that I felt watching every single one of these fucking movies. Like, it starts out, you don't really know who he is. It starts out with the end, and it goes back in time.
It starts out with the best opening scene ever.
Yeah,
it's like
that
literally
prologue is
a car rolls
awesome,
into a car rolls into the frame and smashes into a post.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, we're there. And then the first 5 minutes is almost no dialogue, and you get every single piece of exposition that carries you through the rest of the film. Sorry, carry on.
But he does it while he's going forward. It's not like exposition that just says it out loud. It's like he's watching old videos. You're hearing about like what's going on with his wife, and it's quick. It's almost like the Up montage meets that's probably meets World War Z or
it really
or
is. It really is
The
like
Walking
Up.
Dead. Yeah, that montage, and then he gets. I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is a big statement. Let's see. The cutest dog that has ever been put on screen. He is 5 weeks old, I think. 5 months old. It is the
like 6 or
perfect
7,
puppy. And then
we almost got a beagle after we saw this.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and then
who's that fucking cute?
for almost no reason, like a dumb, like what are the odds kinds of things. Theon Greyjoy, who I swear Alfie Allen will only, even when he's 80, he will only play characters that get their ass kicked and just get shit on the whole movie for how stupid and dumb they are. That's all he will play.
Have you seen the comment about how he was hired? They wanted to find someone who, like, because of all the violence, they were concerned. They wanted to find someone who just looked like an asshole. So they got Alfie.
Oh my God, yeah.
But they post-scripted that with he's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, and apparently he is. Anyway, The concept is this. Alfie Allen likes his car. He doesn't know he's an assassin. So he breaks into his home, steals the car, and kills the dog. Very simple, pretty dumb. And it just so happens that John Wick is not the boogeyman. He's the man you hire to go kill the boogeyman. He's the best assassin of all time, and he literally will go and kill every single person because he has nothing left to live for because his wife just died and they killed his dog to avenge he kills 90 something people in this movie. And we're not just talking about like we're not talking about like Avengers movies where like 1 million people die and then they're like, oh, how are you feeling? We're talking about assassins with guns and radios and talkies, and it shows in so much detail that I think it shows him every time he reloads. They don't do a thing where, like, in a lot of movies, they usually cut away when they reload to, like, see what they're looking at or something. It's like he is reloading while he's getting attacked, and you see, like, the way they frame it is fucking brilliant. He kills people with guns, machine guns, knives, swords. He kills them from the top of a horse. He kills them from a motorcycle. He kills them from a car, an SUV, on foot. He kills them with his bare hands. He kills them with glass. Some of those, like, an axe. He kills somebody with an axe. Like, the way he does it is brilliant, and he never enjoys it, which makes it not a video game. It makes it real because he has a reason. He doesn't want to be killing these people. It's so great.
I mean,
in
all
so
that, that is my only criticism is by the time you get to the end of part 3, it starts to feel like a video game.
You're right. No, you're right.
If we're being honest, number 3 is definitely... It becomes about the fighting...
Well, it does, and it becomes, it's almost like advanced boss fight.
Exactly,
but then they top that off, though, with one of the best twists ever, and we're waiting, we're stuck in lockdown, waiting for fucking John Wick 4.
I don't know if it's a twist. I don't know.
Check out some of this delicious trivia. This is hilarious. First of all, one of the co-directors who has come up on this podcast before in Birds of Prey, Chad Stahelski.
He directed it. It was his baby. It's his baby.
He was Keanu's stunt double in The Matrix.
He actually co-directed.
How badass is that? All right, how about this? During the fucking nightclub scene, the whole sequence, if you haven't seen the first movie, he goes on just a rampage through this whole nightclub in every level and just fucking kills people along the way. He was sick that day, and he had a temperature of 104 when they were filming.
I think the nightclub sequence is my favorite out of the 3 series. I think it's my favorite.
It is.
Yeah, because it's not too heightened. It feels very realistic. I love at the beginning when he tells
it feels loose.
When he tells the bouncer, it's like, good morning, Francis, or good evening, Francis. Want to take the night
Yeah.
off? It's like, thank you, sir.
Yeah. He's like, you look well. You lost weight? And he's like 60 pounds while he's holding a gun to his head. Like, he's classy. He's a classy guy. He's like Bond meets it's Bond meets Bourne. That's what it is. It's Bond meets Bourne.
I mean, I also love that every environment they go into has its own look.
Every
Like,
for sure.
they've designed
The production design
a
is
different-
fucking sick. And I mean,
the most
anytime
fun you can have though with these films is watching other people's reactions to the news that someone's just pissed off John Wick.
Yeah.
Everybody has a very similar. It's like, oh fuck, we're dead. Someone's dead. Like, and dig a
someone
hole
is
for
gonna
someone.
fucking die. Yeah, this guy's gonna kill everyone.
And it's,
I mean,
it's so much fun.
whenever
It's like if you want to play the John Wick drinking game, just every time someone gets that death stare from pissing off John Wick,
Right.
just yeah.
Yeah, I mean that first sequence, that guy who plays Vigo, I'm sorry, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but the guy who plays the Russian mob boss, the main boss in number 1.
Michael Nyquist is his name.
Yeah,
Man, that first scene when he finds it out, he really acts his ass off, dude. When he's when he beats up his son and everything, like he's so. I love the absurd kind of humor that he gets out of just knowing there's no way we're gonna live through this. Like, there's no coming back from this.
When he sends people and then they obviously can't kill John Wick, and then you just see his face and he's like, yeah, I know. I was just sort of hoping, like needle in a haystack type thing.
And let's give it up to the directors and production designers and everybody. How many times have we seen an elite group of assassins or an assassin's network of some kind, anything like that? The Continental and this whole mythology they build around Ian McShane.
That's one of my favorite parts.
All right, let's just talk about Ian McShane.
Wait. Set the scene first. So people who haven't seen the movie, just so they know, the Continental. This is like a video game. The Continental is a hotel only for members of the underground world, and they're not allowed to conduct business. And they truly behave like they're in the MI6. They're literally like, "Good day, sir. How are you?" It's like, "I could use a room cleaning, sir." And it's like, "Oh yes, right away." And he's like, "Yes, right away, please." And what that means is there's a dead body that they have to go get. So it's like a safe space that assassins can't kill each other at, but they truly act as if they're serving the president of the world. Like it's so classy and so cool.
Ian McShane runs the New York continent.
Yeah. So not to kill your buzz, John, but just to keep every episode so that they don't. I don't want anybody to think this is just like a movie where people die and that's it. Even though the action is awesome.
There's also a TV series coming where they're dealing with all the continentals around the world as well,
which is a brilliant change in two. When they're like, "This is the continental Rome," and you're like, "Thank God, there's a continental Rome." Oh, thank God. Yeah. All right, sorry, John.
Ian McShane, who wasn't the original choice for that part. It was originally going to Jason Isaacs from Harry Potter. Yeah, Malfoy's dad.
I like Jason. I like Jason Isaacs. I do.
But I don't think. I think if it would have been, I think Ian McShane. They made the whatever happened there. The universe spoke, and we got the right person.
I mean, Ian's. We have heard that man. He came up earlier when we were talking about. What episode was it? We were talking about the devil Hellboy. Remember that opening?
Oh my God! Yeah,
that's mentioning Hellboy.
Yeah, just remember, Jeff? Do you remember the first line of that movie?
It was something like they were called the Middle Ages were called the Dark Ages for good fucking reason.
I mean, Ian McShane, you're just waiting for him to say amazing things. And his role in these
Hellboy,
movies,
he didn't.
I mean, he still made it sound fucking cool. But his role gets elevated so much throughout this series in a very fun way. He's not only the foil, and he gets to say just some really amazing things, but you're kind of also just waiting for him to say anything. He's just one of those actors that you really just can't. I don't really give a fuck what the scene's about or what he's going to do. They have a huge standoff in number 3. And you've kind of been waiting for him to come around and join John Wick.
Yeah, because you don't get to be head of the Continental for nothing. Like, this guy's got some skills, obviously.
Those fucking guns,
He's just waiting for it.
Yeah, it's really good. He's an actor that I think I could see like in every single movie.
Again, that's one of the things I think I love the most about this is like everything has style. He has style. John Wick has style. They introduce Harry Belly. She has Harry Belly. She has style. Mm-hmm. Even the subtitles that appear on screen have their own distinct style.
Yeah.
This whole film is stylish. It's really the opposite. I mean, it's the opposite of Toy Story. This is a film you can watch with your grown-up kids, not your 5-year-old. But like everything is designed to a T. There's not a bad performance in the entire thing.
No. The stunt ensemble, I can't believe by 3 that they still had more people who could pull these stunts off and be good actors at the same time. Those 2 guys that are like, John Wick, it's a pleasure fighting you, because they've heard this story before attacking him. Like, it is so amazing. The cameos are amazing.
Have you watched the special feature on how they did the Glasshouse fight?
No, I didn't see that.
Special feature you can watch on the Glasshouse fight, and they the Unreal Engine we were talking about last week. Sorry, it felt like a year. We're in quarantine. Last week we were talking about Star Wars with the Unreal Engine Mandalorian stuff, the live filming where you move the camera and the background moves. They designed this set in Unreal Engine, and the director and the stuntman walked through it as it's marked out on the floor in the warehouse to work out the choreography and the movements and where people were going to be and stuff like that. They had a full CG design of this set to play with while they were doing it.
Wow. I mean, that is so cool. Shit.
And it was
the backlighting in that sequence once he finally gets to the boss. I mean, it's just one of the most beautiful fight scenes I've ever seen. It looks like Kill Bill. It looks like when she has the big backlit samurai fight.
I thought about this a lot. I actually thought because I just like the movie so much, and I was just thinking, like, does Tarantino watch these movies and go, "Fuck, man"? Like, because he loves samurai stories, which there are definitely some samurai elements in this, and he obviously loves shoot 'em ups. He loves pulpy flicks. Like, does he watch this and go, "It's not my style, but holy shit"? Like, I feel like these are the kinds of movies he would watch a bunch of times in a row.
He just whines about it taking his theater space.
But there is so much death in these movies, and they get away with it because they're all trained assassins. And especially once you get to 2 and 3, most of the people attacking him, they're not just like people with guns trying to make a living and earn healthcare for their family. Like, these are actual people who are trying to kill him, so they are entering the arena themselves. And so, like, again, just to everybody at home, doesn't think this is just like a movie where it's just about killing people in an interesting way. They're all just about, he doesn't want to kill a single person. If he didn't have to, he wouldn't, with the exception of those who hurt his dog. But also, shout out, they do 2 things brilliantly. Number 1, they brilliantly call back to the other movies. I feel like every single series, with the exception of Lord of the Rings, they have to mention their former movie. Like, you can't mention mistakes made and things in the past when you set up this world that's so specific. You can't overlook things, which other series on our list would get away with. They'd get away with overlooking things. The fact that the 3rd movie, they have an adjudicator who goes back and says, "You helped them last year. That is a violation of the code." It's like a brilliant, interesting twist that doesn't turn into like Men in the Black 2, where they make Tommy Lee Jones. Men in Black 2 makes Tommy Lee Jones.
You realize these movies take place over 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is over 4 days.
But like, so Men in Black 2 is Tommy Lee Jones has amnesia, so Will Smith explains the first movie to him. That's like what Men in Black 2 is. So it's like this, they get away with doing stuff like that. Also, you know what else they did is they said, "We have an idea. We can reunite Keanu Reeves with Lawrence Fishburne. How do we do this?" And what we do is we make Lawrence Fishburne like a pigeon-wielding Lord of the Underworld that like is he's like he has Morpheus qualities, but like if Morpheus was in a completely different Spider-Verse, like what?
I also love the quick throwaway gag between Halle Berry and like when the 2 characters there when they go to see the guy and he causes a ruckus with the dogs, and I'm not going to give it away because you just got to wait for it. But it throws back it throws back to number 1, and it's the perfect delivery. And they just throw the gag away. If you blink and you'll miss it.
When Keanu's like, "No, I totally understand," and she's like, he was going after my dog, and he was like, "No, I get it. I totally understand." Oh my god. Anyway, I love these movies so much.
They know what they are, kind of like the
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious last week. Like, I feel like to want to come back to them, to maybe not just see them once and for them to turn into some echo of what they were when they were in theaters, for people to want to come back to movies that are mostly centered around action over and over and over again. You got to have more than action. And I feel like these movies have a kind of a wry silliness and kind of graphic novelty appeal.
Yeah, definitely graphic
novelty. They know exactly what they are,
graphic
man.
novelty.
They know what they are.
I had to look up that it wasn't based on one. I thought this was based on a graphic novel.
I thought it was too.
Especially with the text going across the way. And when they get to Parabellum, what it means.
Yeah.
and they do it in that font, it really does feel like a graphic novel. It really does.
Also, fun fact for anyone who likes to find these locations in movies, the Continental exterior is located at 1 Wall Street Court in New York. It's
I feel like I've seen that building. That's cool.
It's the Beaver Building.
The Beaverville building.
Yes, the Beaver
Also,
Building.
you know what? We talked about last week how coronavirus, because Dave sent us a picture from Madison Avenue, New York, and there are no cars or anything on it. And I forget which John Wick it is, where he ends up in he goes to Chinatown a lot for the doctor, but he's in Times Square at one point, and I was like, man, they wish they could film this right now.
Oh,
They're actually,
yeah.
There are too few people. There are too few people in Times Square right now to film that scene because there's no extras.
You mean the doctor that was the key maker?
He was the key maker in the Matrix, right? Yeah, thank you. I was
my God, what an Easter egg! I didn't put that together. That's so funny. And the way so my theory about 3, and hopefully I don't spoil too much for our friends, is so you said there was a twist. My twist is actually that he shot in the exact same spot that Keanu shot the doctor. Remember when he was like, "Oh, make sure you don't." And he, missed the cloud of gold. So I have a feeling he's going to be like, what do you mean? I shot you in a place that clearly wouldn't end your life.
Oh, no. He's definitely pulling away me there. It's like there's a double twist.
So that
Dave,
it's
going to be. Is this a whole Australian production? Is this a whole Australian situation?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Didn't they do? I know the Wachowskis aren't Australian, but didn't they film everything down in Australia?
You're in the Matrix?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Is this also an Australian situation?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Dave, your Stunnies here. I looked this up. I'm just double checking right now because it's such a joke. It's here. I'm sorry. It's a joke that the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood stunt team was nominated in 2019, but the John Wick stunt team wasn't. Like, no disrespect to Once Upon a Time, obviously.
But nominated for what? Because they don't have an Oscars category for it.
No. So the only thing that they can win, there's a couple other weird awards, but the biggest one, they absolutely should. The biggest award you can win is the Screen Actors Guild, which is important because it's voted on by all of the union, all of the actors. Everybody in the film has a vote. Everybody in all these films have a vote. And Marvel wins it every year, which sort of makes you think that, actually Wonder Woman won one year, but it sort of makes you think that like there's just like it's political, like they can just rally up votes, whoever gets the most signatures.
Well, I mean,
how is it that these 3 John Wicks, how is it that, but even more so this, how do those John Wick movies not have a single nomination? Like, how does Hacksaw Ridge win and these John Wick guys, these people are doing those things where they're landing in such a way that it's like if they land in a different way, they break their spine. Like some of these stunts
it's because the John Wick guys aren't doing it for awards, and it shows.
I know, it's so practical, it's so realistic, it's important, it's not just for show. It's so good. I can't even describe how good a lot of these are. My jaw was open for half of the sequences.
And you see a lot of their faces.
You see a lot.
You get to see them while they're fighting and stuff. They're not just bodies.
Actually, they got around that by giving them different hairstyles. You'll find that if you look really, really closely, some of the guys with hair in certain sequences are the same as the bald guys. Because they filmed the stuff with hair first and then shaved them.
That's hilarious.
That's
my God, it's so good. So I don't have much to say about it. We haven't said anything negative about either films, but is there anything else you want to say about John Wick? Any other conversation
I did not have a lot of bad categories. Like my bad lines was like there were 2 lines. That was it.
Just a reminder, Dave takes notes that we don't understand.
Yeah, the X is the nebulous X system.
Oh no, we haven't even got to that yet.
Okay.
I think my only criticism, because I did see these in the theaters, and I really liked the first one, and people weren't really talking about it very much, so I didn't talk about it as much with lots of people. People definitely were talking more when number 2 came out, so I feel like number 2 held up, and everyone was super pumped for number 3, and I wasn't let down by number 3 by any means. I still had a lot of fun, and I'm excited for 4. But I do think it was, with what you said earlier, Dave, I do think it kind of turned itself into that video game. Next. He just kept fighting bosses, literally physically moving up structures.
They didn't advance the story. They stopped advancing
the story really didn't change at all. Which is, it's a trap. I understand, because that's also really cool that it happens in 4 days. Like, I also really like that. But that's
I think it might be 5 days because there's some international travel there. But yeah.
No, it definitely happens in less than a week. It is back to back. The movies are back to back.
Yeah,
and that's a cool thing to know.
3 literally picks up straight off the back of number 2.
Yeah, when
But
he
I just
should have
don't
been
know if
dead. He's bleeding out. He
Yeah.
has stitches in that are going to rip out. Like,
I kind of wanted something more to turn the story on its head a little bit in 3. And so I'm hoping that 4 will do something that takes it
wait,
away.
you don't think the adjudicator and then the man who sits above the table was enough? That just didn't land for you? Is that what you're saying?
It
Because
just
I
felt
thought
like
that was a pretty interesting move.
No, it was still cool. I'm not. I'm reaching for criticisms here. I just remember feeling in the theater
and
like
that
it was
is
an
definitely-
extension of number 1 and number 2, as opposed to really throwing a wrench in it and making us feel like, oh no, there's a lot of the assassins are still here. He still has the same dilemma, but his circumstances have changed dramatically, and I feel like his has not really changed since the first one.
But in saying that, on the rewatch, when you're watching John Wick 3 on the rewatch, that you get into the story more and not into the fights as much. Like it does advance the plot a lot more than what it did.
I'm gonna watch number 3 tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm gonna get nice and drunk and watch that thing tonight.
All right,
cool.
so,
and also like Halle Berry not offering him the water. Halle Berry not giving him the water. She seems like a bitch, but in hindsight, she has to not. He has to be parched. Like there's little things like that that are really fun. But yes, also to your point, by the end of that fight sequence, you're like, okay, can this please be over soon? I'm exhausted.
You're kind of like, why did they have to get Joel Cohen to write this with an H?
I mean,
Get the fuck out of here,
Jeff. That's for you. That's for you. You have to drink, Jeff.
I'll drink.
I'm gonna go back to it's what I kept saying. I know I went hard for Fast and the Furious last week. I was pretty drunk. I'm gonna apologize to our listeners. I was angry. I was fighting for Fast and the Furious. But the points we were making about it, I guess the only thing that I would differentiate, between the John Wicks and the Fast and the Furious is that thing how we kept saying how with the Fast and the Furious everything went up. I felt like the emotional circumstances for John Wick. I hear what I'm saying. We're talking about the emotional circumstances of John Wick, but I feel like they have not climbed in the same way the action has escalated. And that's always for me personally, that can be a red flag with action movies. I need it all to escalate in its ridiculousness.
It is like not a red flag. It is a pink flag. That is a very small.
They can go through to 8 because let's face it, Tokyo Drift.
I mean, come on.
Keep going. All right, let's wrap this up.
John Wick, dude.
It's been so
watch
fun.
John Wick. If you have not watched them yet, fucking sit down, please, and just watch them back to back to back. They are too much
Lock your
fun.
small children away.
They're beautiful. They're hilarious. It's ridiculous.
Much fun. It is.
And don't tell your friends if you know what the premise is. I've learned this mistake over the past few years. Don't jokingly tell your friends the premise of the first one. Unless there's somebody who already loves action movies and they'll watch it anyway. Because if you think it's just a silly movie about a dog that gets taken from an assassin and he kills everybody, it's not. It's more than that. There is an emotional backbone to why the dog matters to him. It's not a comedy.
Inflict this on your friends, make them go in blind because they'll be much better for it. This is way better.
And the director's name is Chad. All right, I think it is time to move on to the vote, where only one can go on. Our 4 seed, Toy Story, or our 13 seed, the John Wick trilogy. We'll be back.
And we're back. Our buddy Jeff just ate a full fucking meal over the microphone, and we had to listen to him chew and fucking tap his silverware on the plate, and I'm about to kill him virtually.
I'm still...
and we're
It
back.
kind of reminded me of that scene from Hannibal where the hogs ate that person.
Man, I'm still upset about Joe Cohen.
Oh, God. Yeah, fuck your joke.
Oh, my God. Something just shot out of my mouth. Food just shot out of my mouth.
Of course,
guys, with the vote.
Shot out of your mouth. We just compared you to the hog scene from Hannibal. Jesus
All right,
Christ.
so, friends, so far our top seed is advanced every week. We have Lord of the Rings, the Godfather trilogy, and Star Wars waiting, which, by the way, Lord of the Rings we felt pretty good about, even though Dave was sort of leaning against it. But Godfather and Star Wars, those 2 and 3 seeds, they're going to get some competition, and I don't know if they're going to hang. So Toy Story, John Wick, what's going to advance to the quarterfinals? Very, very curious. Very, very curious. Why don't we start with John? Dave wants to go last. So this is always interesting. I haven't decided yet. Dave wants to go last. That's where we're at, audience at home. John, what do you think?
All right, so I did some deep thinking over this past week.
Yeah.
True story. Thank you for that. So I rewatched every single Pixar movie last year. After I watched that documentary, I just fucking watched every single one of them again in chronological order. And, I loved them. And then that same year, I think John Wick 3 came out last year. So I rewatched 1 and 2 before I went to go see 3 in the theaters last year. Nice. And then I rewatched 1 for this just because I hadn't seen it in a while. It's one of those things where, like, God, I just love them for different reasons. But I will say an ultimate achievement, artistic achievement, and especially for this contest, for the emotional state that people are in right now, I am going to vote for the Toy Stories just because they're too perfect on too many levels. They offer too many different things, and they offer them so well that I don't know, I just can't get around it. When we made up our bracket, I remember kind of making a middle note to myself, I think I'm going to fucking vote for Fast and the Furious and John Wick. And I was just kind of coming into these weeks saying, I think I want to do it. I want to go there. I love all those franchises so much. But after rewatching the Toy Stories, I know we were joking about it at the beginning with the Rotten Tomato readings, but I think it's undeniable. Those movies are nearly perfect. There's just nothing wrong with them. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do it. I had a lot of fun talking with those John Wicks, and I want to watch them a million more times, and I'm going to, and I'm excited for number 4. But if I'm advising people, if we were the last 3 fucks on planet Earth and some aliens showed up and they were like, we can only take one of these as a sample of motion pictures, what should we take? I'm going to give them the Toy Stories over the John Wicks.
Good. No, you're right. Okay, so here's my story. This is my story. I saw Toy Story 1 in theaters when I was very, very younger.
Don't you fucking play on words, you piece of shit. Keep going.
That's still for Joel Cohen.
I saw Toy Story 2 in theaters, 1999. I haven't seen either of those movies since until now. Toy Story 3 I did not see. And then I watched Toy Story 4 in theaters last year, as I mentioned, and then I went back and rewatched all of these from this past week. And I mentioned to you before the concept, like, what did you guys think about that? And I think the first one does a pretty damn good job of being like, your toys, your favorite toy, your toys are more than your toys.
It bothered you, didn't it?
No, I like that in 1. I thought that was really great in 1. And then as they grew and expanded, the human element became less and less important. 4 was reaching a little bit. So my question to myself this week is, why is it that whenever I have Disney Plus now, I can watch anything I want. Why do I never turn to these Toy Story movies? Why haven't I rewatched any? Why did I not even care that I hadn't seen Toy Story 3? And so I rewatched Toy Story 4 because Chloe hadn't seen it. And so we watched it and we laughed our ass off. We had such a good time. So then we rewatched 3. Or maybe we did in another order. It doesn't matter. We rewatched 3, and the whole time this is what I said after every scene. Can you imagine walking in right now and this is your toys? And I don't know why it was so hard for me to break the concept, even though I know they're brilliant movies. I know they're perfect movies. I know when I have a kid and my kid has toys, assuming I can afford it all, like, it's all going to be great. And I'm going to have other feelings about it because as a parent, your kid starts getting obsessed with toys that seem inanimate or meaningless, but they actually carry this long-term weight. I know that it's going to change. Right now where I am, I'm watching these John Wick movies.
Do it, dude.
I'm watching these John Wick movies, and I'm seeing movies that I want to see 5, 6, 7, 8 times. If you told me right now that there was a John Wick video game, I would buy whatever system it's coming out on. on.
Say it.
and
Say
I
it
would get the
officially.
John
I'm
Wick
pretty
video
sure
What are
there
you
is a John
voting
Wick
for
video
over
game.
Toy Story?
If you said there was a Forky spin-off, I would go cool, which they already have because they have like the little clips on Disney Plus. If you told me there was a Continental spin-off in John Wick where it was just about the guy who's the front desk manager at the Continental, if it was his backstory, I'd watch the whole fucking movie. The Adjudicator Training. If there was a series just about, it was like G.I.
Lance
Jane
Reddick.
for Adjudicator trainings. Lance Reddick. It is just about, I'm telling you, I'd watch the entire series. Also, shout out, they cast the guy who played Pa in Once on Broadway. He was the guy who, he said, I'll have a dinner reservation, and a guy shows up ready to take dead bodies out of a home. Guy's a Broadway actor, big star. Dave, I'm so sorry, man. You get the hot seat. I don't know what it is.
Say it officially. I want to hear you say it officially.
I know the Toy Stories are perfect. I'm definitely 100%. I'm voting for John Wick.
Woo! John Wick,
I've been thinking
baby.
about this all
Oh.
week, and the whole week I was like, why do I want to vote John Wick over Toy Story? I don't understand. I know Toy Stories are perfect. We've talked about it. I have little to say it. It's just for some reason the concept when it comes down to it. Andy, leave your toys. Go to college. Leave your toys.
Grow the fuck up, Andy. What the fuck are you
Please
doing,
have sex
dude?
in college.
Please
Like-
get laid, dude. Don't bring your fucking fluff stuffed cowboy from your fucking 6-year-old.
And again, if I found out that my toy left me a note and said, "Don't worry, Jeff, I'll be fine. Just give me to your neighbor," I would run out my window on I'm on a second floor. I'd run right out the window. Like if I found out that my toy did that. And I know for some reason where I am right now in my life, I can't get over that. And John Wick, I'm 100% in every single element, every single bit.
All right, so
Dave,
we're
it's on
1-1
you.
right now. We are 1-1. We have one vote for
1-1.
Toy Story, one vote for John Wick. That means it's coming down to our buddy Dave is going to decide what moves forward. Tell me where your head and your heart is at.
I'm mad.
What are you mad about? What are you
really
angry about?
mad. I'm mad because like we've got Toy Story who like redefined animation for an entire new generation. It
Yeah.
created an entire new genre of movies
Yeah.
and introduced all this wonderful technology and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you got John Wick, which is violent and has some of the best stunt work I've seen in years, and you know all this really imaginative filmmaking and that sort of thing. And you fuck knuckles put it in the same bracket. These two movies have no fucking business being the same fucking
We did
bracket.
this
you
on
fuck
purpose.
knuckles.
We did this on purpose. We have Die Hard against Harry Potter coming up. We did this on purpose.
I sat through Toy Story and I sat through all four of them and I gave it a score of 17.
17
And then I sat through-
random, meaningless X's.
And I sat through John Wick and I gave John Wick a score of 17.
Oh my god.
So fuck you guys. I propose that
How
both
are
of
you
these move
deciding?
on and we introduce a wild card.
Oh, that's the proposition.
Dave, this is why you wanted to go last.
Two movies move on, and I think we throw it to our listeners. What have we missed that you want to see included?
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
And
Dave.
also, get fucked for doing this in the first place.
Dave, are you I didn't screen record this. I forgot because I was eating my food. Oh, we have no visual evidence of this. Oh my god. Okay. Hold on. Okay, so you want to know.
No, I'm insisting both of these go through. They both have
Both
two
of
each.
these move forward, and we introduce a wild card.
A wild card round.
When do you want to introduce a wild card, and will it immediately go up against both of these in a 3-way? And only one comes out alive? John Wick,
I
Woody, and Batman?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If we throw out, 2 extra slots,
I'm not opposed to it.
I think we should do it. I think there were some other very good points made in some very, very hostile internet posts about movies that we missed.
All right,
This is the
okay,
only
so
thing.
let's-
This is the only thing
perfect
I'll say about
opportunity.
this. This is the only thing I'll say about this. I don't see. My only problem with it is that I don't see John Wick or Toy Story coming out on top of this competition. I don't see one of them taking the prize.
I'm not looking at it in terms
one
of
of them.
competition. I'm not. When you're in a sports bracket, you don't judge based on the whole competition. You're based on who won that round, and none of them won that round in my book.
Is this literally
They have no business being together.
Is this
No
literally
business being together in the first
your
place.
fucking exes landed on the same number? Did you just give up?
No, it's
when
because
you
I
were
enjoy
trying-
these movies equally for two completely different fucking reasons.
Wait.
They're two totally different genres.
Question.
Like one is for your inner child, and the other one is for your inner asshole.
That was for me last
Wait.
week, and I had to make a
Hold on.
choice.
Hold on. I'm siding with Dave here, and I'm going to say this. Here we go. We're talking about the full series. Godfather, that trilogy, we talked about this. The first two are perfect. The third one's tough. And then Star Wars, the original three are perfect. 1 through 3 have like one movie's worth of great content, and the three of them. And then 7 through 9 are not good. Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
So here's the real question. We did not have the Dark Knight trilogy. We did not have Indiana Jones. We did not have Rocky.
Bourne's.
We did not have Bond or Bourne. The Mummy. I'm going to shout out the Mummy, even though it has no
Mummy!
chance. Fuck yeah, the Mummy. Anyway.
That's for shouting out the mummy.
Anyway, here's the thing.
Drink for the mummy, dude.
Drink for the Mummy. Here's what I'm going to one-up Dave here. Are you ready? The Godfather and Star Wars were contentious. What if we What if we put The Godfather and the Star Wars into that round so that we get a bye? Because what's going to happen now is the numbers are going to be off if we introduce new movies, right? So what if these two movies advance, we bring in 2 series, and then we allow Godfather and Star Wars to be like reseeded in a way? You know what I mean? So like what you're saying is, I don't know if Toy Story is going to beat Lord of the Rings, but Star Wars, you'd be fucking happy to vote either of these over Star Wars. So like, what if even the ones that advanced? Even the ones that advanced, they're all still in the pot in a way.
So just
Like,
explain
they
this.
all-
I just came in deciding to throw out the fucking rule book.
Explain it technically to me. Will the two
We need even
ones that we
numbers.
introduce, will the 2 new ones that we introduce go up against each other, or will they go up against Toy Story or John Wick?
They're not going to
Toy
go up
Story or
against.
John Wick.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly right. I think
Okay.
that's a good thing because
So we have to
should.
introduce 2.
Yeah, because but here's what. Sorry, I'm getting confusing. What I meant to you, John.
We don't necessarily need to make that choice. We can leave that up to the people listening. They
True.
can vote.
True. To your point, John, you said you don't see this thing taking the whole prize, but we need to take Lord of the Rings and just put it off to the side because both of these. No, we should, because both of these movies would probably advance over the Godfather trilogy, not the first 2, the trilogy, and the Star Wars saga, the 9 movies, including the last 3. We would probably advance these 2. So these 2 actually probably should be a 2 and a 3 seed over the Godfather and Star Wars. So in that argument, maybe they should be thrown in the pot with the Dark Knight trilogy, which also could be a top 3 seed. Maybe we
Can I be honest with you? I'm really just upset because Dom and the family should have advanced. And we're gonna let fucking John Wick advance and not the fucking Fast and the Furious. All right, I am down for this. It could be fun. We could get the listeners involved. We'll bring in 2 new picks and we'll add a bracket. That's basically what we're gonna do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because we're going to have
That's
to give
my
like
proposal.
Lord of the Rings a bye, basically. And maybe we'll even vote to just separately to give one of these 2 a bye. So that way it's basically like a final 10. Because the numbers are off. We've chose 16 for the numbers.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way that we can reseed it. If both of these go on, we throw in 2 new movie series to keep it an even number. And then we
All right, guys, you heard it here. We were at a fucking stalemate. And Dave Green said, "Fuck you. We're gonna take them both forward because I don't want to have to split
This
this
is it,
shit."
though. This is the one superhero card you get, Dave. This is the one superhero card you get.
Yeah, hold on, wait. All right,
This
that
is
brings
never
up.
gonna happen
Wait.
again.
All right, does that mean that Jeff and I get to do this at least once?
No, I don't want to. I
Weeks.
refuse to.
Okay.
Truly,
okay. We got
no.
we got a whole bunch of shit for our list, so this is probably the most creative way
Yeah.
to add to our list because people fucking hate our list, dude. We are
Yeah.
getting destroyed on the internet for our shitty list.
Everybody who came out bagging the fuck out of us for our list, you better represent this week. Because I
Yeah,
Come
stuck
on,
my neck out
honestly,
here.
come out at the Love
Yeah.
of Cinema Pod. Give us your votes. Let me see. We're gonna
That's right.
post. We're gonna put a post out there,
give us
literally
a review
asking.
as well.
Give us a review, but we're gonna put a post out there on Instagram and Twitter, literally asking for 2 new seats. We're going to make sure that gets posted soon this week, and we're going to check those responses out. And based on that and our votes, we are going to be picking 2 new seeds. You heard it here, folks. We did not do that. That was completely on the spot. We did not talk about that at all. I had no idea that was going to fucking happen.
Yeah, and it's all because of Dave's fucking test that he does. It's like
Dave's fucking bullshit X test. What is the X test? What the fuck is it? Fuck your X. Buzz your X test. You fucking cunt.
This
What
was
the
a
fuck
17 to 7. So if I just, man, I wish I just saw these movies and just said Toy Story, but I can't. I can't do it.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
glad
the only
this
reason
happened.
this was
I'm
made
glad,
possible because you disagreed.
I'm glad we were split. I thought we were all gonna
I
warm
can't
our
help it.
hearts up and go for Toy
I
Story.
am dying for John Wick 4. I hope Toy Story doesn't
Jeff,
make a 5.
Jeff, I didn't ask you this. Did you watch them for the first time for this?
Which ones?
John Wick's.
No, I saw 2 the year it came out with our friends Alex Pepper and Sarah Lynn Pepper. Shout out, friends of the pod.
Shout out.
So after I saw 2 the year it came out, I rewatched 1 then, but I had not seen 3 until this week, which is on HBO Go.
Yeah.
So 3 was new to me, and 3 I watched on Easter morning as the conclusion of the series, and I was just like,
I own
yeah.
all 3 of these.
Parabellum.
I bought them.
Should we tell them what parabellum means, or do they have to earn that delicious little Latin treat?
I think it was
let him have it.
It was a really. It's not a big deal. It was a really nice little thing to unwrap.
Well, you've got time, listeners, because apparently he's not fucking going anywhere. John Wick is coming back, dude. Woody and the gang and John Wick, Ian McShane, the Continental,
Man.
they're not going anywhere.
Both
we have some work to do.
Continentals.
So, all right, just clarify for me really fast, you guys, just for me and the listeners. Next week, are we still on track, or are we?
Yeah,
doing
we're still on
the
track.
new-
Yes.
This is the first round.
Yeah,
so
we'll
the
get through the first round.
When are we doing these 2 new ones?
In the next bracket.
In the next round,
Yeah.
there are 2 additions to the next
Yeah.
round, who will go straight
Yes.
to the next round.
We'll help if the listeners have input. I'll either reseed or I'll give 1 and 2 a bye or something, or a Lord of the Rings and then something else a bye, and then we'll
Okay.
have 10. So we'll have 2 and 8, etc.
Cool. All right, Jeff, why don't you already kind of mentioned it, but just to clarify for us, let us know what's
Next week.
happening next week. Where are we moving
I
on
haven't
from
mentioned
here?
it yet. I've mentioned Harry Potter and Die Hard, but that's in 2 weeks.
That's in 2
Next
weeks,
week.
excuse me.
Harry Potter's our 6 seed. Our 5 seed. This is gonna be a good week. I have some work to do on our 12 seed. The 12 seed is Star Trek. I have work to do on Star Trek.
And just to
work.
clarify, are we doing all the motion pictures of Star Trek?
Dave, that's a Dave
All
question.
generations? Because I have been watching all the movies of the old generations and the next generation, and I have already seen the reboots. So I'm ready to go, bitch. But I don't know if you guys are just counting the reboots.
13 films.
13 films. Fuck yeah, dude. We're counting all of them.
All right,
We're
I have
counting
work
all
to
of
do.
them.
I have work to do on this.
Jeff,
I've
they're
seen
all-
the JJs.
Listeners, Jeff, most of the old ones are on Hulu right now.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Great. I'm so glad I got the Disney Plus extension. And then, so Star Trek is our 12 seed, 13 films, Star Trek. That includes the JJ movies. Our 5 seed is actually probably what should be our 2 seed, which is the Back to the Future trilogy. The Back
Nice.
to the Future trilogy
Yeah.
is our 5
Hello,
seed.
I'm
McFly.
gonna be-
Hello.
I'm going to be fucking torn about this one.
This is going to be tough for Dave. Yes! Oh,
Oh,
my God.
man,
This
yeah.
should be our 2 seed, right? Like, or maybe even The Dark Knight, which isn't on our list, should be a 2 seed.
All right, hold
I
on.
don't know,
Let's,
we'll
let's
leave-
just, I know I just said that. I just asked you, are we really going to put 3 films up against 13 films? Is that fair? Should we just do the reboots?
If Star Wars was just the original 4, it might win. Sorry, wow, 4, 5, 6. If it was, this is what happens when we drink during the podcast.
Yeah, but it
If
made
Star
sense
Wars
with
was
Star
just-
Wars. But it made sense with Star Wars
Jeff
because it
can't
was
do
up
math
against
and he
8
can't spell.
films. It was 9 versus 8. That was okay with me.
Yeah, but Lord of the Rings is only 3 films, but it should be 9. It should be 9
Yeah.
films.
Yeah, so it's still,
Given,
still a
I
monster.
mean, given some of the Star Trek films, I feel like it's a safe argument.
All right,
That's what I'm
guys,
saying.
we're
It's not
rambling
fair.
now.
It's
We're
too
rambling.
insane. All right, we're getting
Not
into
fair to
it.
Star Trek. You're right.
We are going to be back next week. We are going to be talking about fucking Star Trek, all fucking 13 of them,
That's right.
and Back to the
Oh my
Future.
gosh.
Are you excited? We're excited. We had too much fun. John Wick and Toy Story are moving on. We're going to be introducing 2 new ones. Get ready, you fucks.
Never-
We'll see you next
Never
time.
happening again. Never happening
Hey,
again.
Also, Jeff,
Yeah.
that's Joel Cohen.
No! Cut the Joel Cohen stuff out. Cut it out.
We'll see you next week, bitches.